Yo, what's going on, you guys? KafeisKid here. If I'm not looking at the camera, nothing can jump out and scare me. Now, if it wasn't obvious with... Okay, fine, I'll look at the camera. Now, if it wasn't already obvious what this video is about by the title, the intro, or the thumbnail, thank goodness I'm not alone, because me didn't tell me what this video is about.
I sent you a script.
What's up? So, it turns out I sent myself the script 2 weeks ago, and I just never got around to reading it because I thought it was a script for a horror games video, and I hate those things. Please don't make me do this. Okay. Horror games satisfy a sick desire in almost every... You know what? I'm just gonna make Disembodied voice me do the rest of this intro. It was his stupid idea anyway. I knew I should have never trusted my clown ass. It's okay though, he does this all the time and he'll be back. I just have to bribe him with some chicken nuggets. But anyway, here goes. Horror games satisfy a sick desire in almost everyone. Even most people who enjoy horror games, like myself, have a love-hate relationship with them. But even people who don't love them tend to pick them up for an hour once every 6 months until they've had just enough, or at the very least watch someone else play them from their couch or on YouTube. The fact of the matter is that they have a very vital place in sadistic gaming. This genre is all fun and games when you have a gun or a chainsaw to defend yourself from your adversaries, but what about when your only tools available are a lantern or a video camera? Not so comforting anymore. Today, we're going to be talking about how the spin of defenselessness as a mechanic in horror games brought a new spark to the genre as a whole. It's a mutation of mechanics that were already so spine-chilling in gaming, and introduced an entirely new dynamic to the tried and true genre. I also want to add that in today's video, we're only going to be discussing a handful of games that have seen popularity in this niche of the genre, but let me be clear, there are a lot more that I won't have time for. I'm not suggesting that any game not mentioned in this video didn't play a role in the movement, just that I have a lot more to say about the ones that I will be discussing. With that in mind, let's get started. Hey guys, I work things out with myself. Also, me told me that only brave boys get to eat chicken nuggets, and, well, I mean, they're the dinosaur kind, so I'm not afraid of horror games anymore. Also, before I get ahead of myself, my buddy Ziah from Ziah TV plays horror games on his channel almost every single day, and so, to get a second opinion, I kind of want to hear his thoughts on the subject matter. Ziah, come on down.
Yo, what's up, Travis? Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it. All right, so there is not much worse feeling in this world than leaving the house only to realize you forgot your phone or wallet, right? Or that feeling when you're all alone in your room and it's completely dark and you can't see anyone there, but you just know that there are eyes on you.
Yeah, bro, I don't really see where you're going with this, but go on, I guess.
Games like Resident Evil or Silent Hill offer solutions to these paranoias. Weapons. With a weapon, you can pay with your phone or turn the lights on. But what if those issues can't be resolved? What if your only option is to deal with the fact that you're supremely, intensely, royally...
Whoa, okay, man, I get your point, I think. What's your point?
My point is that that's exactly what this new spin on the horror genre offers you. In games like Amnesia, Outlast, Five Nights at Freddy's, your only choices are to hide, cry, and hope you didn't get murdered by an insane asylum patient or Chuck E. Cheese malfunctions. You can't fight back, you're scared, alone, and helpless.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay, I get what you're saying now.
You do?
Oh yeah, 100%. You're saying that you're just a giant, throbbing, baby back pussy.
What? No, I'm just trying to articulate why these games are so good and... Dude, you literally asked me to be here.
You're just a chicken. You're just a chicken, sissy. I am so sorry. Okay, so the title promised you Amnesia, and we'll get to that, but we cannot talk Amnesia without diving into the history of its development team first. In 2007, a Swedish indie development team known as Frictional Games was founded. Frictional Games is a company that specializes in the development of survival horror games with very little or no combat gameplay mechanics. Whew, and it's a good thing old reliable Wikipedia said so too, otherwise we literally wouldn't have a video topic. Frictional Games started their career out with development of a horror trilogy known as Penumbra. There was Penumbra Overture, Penumbra Black Plague, and Penumbra Requiem. Technically, Requiem is just an expansion pack added onto Black Plague. However, because their initial goal was in fact the episodic trilogy that I mentioned, I want to credit it as the final chapter. All three of these are bite-sized horror games that at the core are the very beginning of their dive into the defenseless horror genre. However, in practice, while very solid, were just the beginning of their adventure in the scene. It was the follow-up to these games, however, that really set the stage for huge strides in progression of the genre. Amnesia: The Dark Descent released in 2010 to relative critical praise. In The Dark Descent, you play as Daniel after waking up in a giant, seemingly empty castle in eastern Prussia. The game is a first-person survival horror, obviously, but it is heavily centered around two major gameplay fundamentals: puzzle solving and threat aversion. This game is really where the mechanic of running and hiding in horror game settings first blew up in mainstream media. There are a handful of times where, while solving puzzles throughout the castle, you encounter whatever the hell these are, and literally your only options are to run and hide. You can't fight back, you can't inhibit them in any permanent way. All you can do is pray to Zach and Cody that the monster doesn't find you. This adds a whole new level to horror that, for me, transcends any mechanic in horror games that preceded it. Like Ziah mentioned, in most popular horror games leading up to this renaissance, you could at the very least fight back. The inability to defend yourself in any meaningful way is what makes the niche of this genre stand apart in all of the best ways. On top of constantly having to run and hide, you have to balance your sanity with keeping the areas that you're exploring lit. You can do this by either lighting static sources throughout the environment or finding oil for your lantern. In addition to needing light sources to maintain your sanity, the bar also decreases when you witness disturbing scripted events in-game or stare at enemies for too long. They somehow managed to make the defenselessness mechanic more terrifying. Not only do you have to constantly be looking out for enemies in-game to know where to avoid them, but you also can't look at them for too long or your in-game brain will explode. Overall, it's just masterful game design in terms of creating the most tension for an already insanely heavy experience. Amnesia had a sequel titled A Machine for Pigs, and it's definitely an alright game, but the sanity mechanic is removed entirely, and overall it just didn't have the same appeal to me that The Dark Descent offered in terms of a true horror experience. And although the popular gameplay elements found in Amnesia were enough to reel in a pretty notable fanbase to the genre, what really sets the game apart as the new spark on horror is an obscure, tiny little YouTuber known as PewDiePie. Well, at least he was at the time, anyway. PewDiePie and Amnesia were a perfect match for each other. In the same way that PewDiePie's popularity brought a lot of attention to Amnesia, and as a result, the horror genre, Amnesia itself played a huge role in PewDiePie's popularity as well. They grew as a unit, and it sparked a whole new phenomenon of horror Let's Plays in the YouTube community. If you were around on YouTube back in the early 2010s, you'll remember that there was a 2 to 3 year stretch where every gaming YouTuber was playing horror games. And this had a lot to do with the blow up of the new niche genre, with random sprinkles ever since. The gameplay style is inherently entertaining. Being caught by a gatherer in Amnesia with no way to defend yourself is terrifying, and the reactions of the people playing the games almost never fail to be hilariously representative of that fear. I obviously can't know for certain, but I have a striking suspicion that it's why we saw so many games like them this decade. And I truly feel that it can all be accredited to the blow up that PewDiePie and the Amnesia series took part in together. While I don't want to carry on too long about the topic because I feel that the core of the discussion has been covered, I want to take a brief moment to talk about the Outlast experience. Full transparency, Outlast is one of my favorite games of all time. I'm clearly passionate about this niche subgenre in horror, and a very large part of that is due to the Outlast games. In my humble opinion, Outlast took everything that was so great about The Dark Descent and improved on it in every single way. I think that the setting and the story are more interesting, I think that the characters and the atmosphere are so spine-chillingly perfect, and most importantly, it introduced a new take on the lantern from Amnesia that cannot be understated as one of the smartest gameplay mechanics ever introduced in horror gaming. In Outlast, you play as Miles Upshur, a journalist investigating claims that a psychiatric hospital in Colorado is experiencing foul play and conducting inhumane experiments on its patients by a team of scientists based in the asylum. The reason that this is such an amazing addition to the subgenre of horror is because, as a journalist, you are encouraged to film nearly everything that you see in the asylum. And what does holding a camera up to your face do? It reduces your field of vision. You are encouraged to play in a way that literally makes the game scarier. This would be like walking through a haunted house with your hands cupped around your eyes. Greatly reducing what you can see in a setting where there are constant threats around you can only be described as paralyzing. Not only that, but even if you choose to not use the camera to film the setting and to document, you're still forced into the mechanic half the time anyway, because the asylum is pitch black in certain areas, with the only source of light being available to you from the night vision on your camera. It's just genius, masterclass game design, and there aren't enough words for me to articulate how in love I am with it. It took what was already amazing about Amnesia and improved on it tenfold. So that's it. That concludes my thoughts on the Wait, oh my gosh. You guys hear that? It's silence. The sissy baby physical embodiment of KafeisKid actually made it through the video without getting spooked again. Yo, you actually did it. You're a brave boy. I'm so proud of you, man. Seriously, you did such a good. Oh, it's right behind me, isn't it? Yeah.